Okay, good.
So, I'm not
we can actually laugh at Californians then.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much it rains. There's still never any water here. We are loaded into the next match. It is going to be Polt versus Soulkey. This match will be starting off on Dusk Towers. Those of you who want your Terran versus Zerg fix, you got it.
You got it.
You have in the top right position, representing CM Storm. He's playing from Taipei today. He is Captain America. He's Polt. He's facing off.
I love studio announcements of players.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I just picture you as like the comedian in an empty bar.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
It's a lot better with a crowd.
The bartender's over there. He's like, looking good, Nate. Hey, thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. You know what? As long as you appreciate me, Jeff, I'll always be happy doing this.
I do.
And of course he's facing off against Soulkey in the bottom left. Some good TVZ. I hope so. I imagine. I think of all the matches today, depending on how... I really know how SOS plays PvP, but unless he does like a super cheesy style, I'm expecting this to be maybe like a long series, not quite as long. I feel like I feel like this is a series that should go on for a while. Polt is very hard to kill, and he also doesn't cheese. So I think it's unlikely that the game should be super short unless Soulkey just completely falls apart to some early pressure, which I also don't expect. So
yeah, I agree with that assessment. And TVZ's kind of been one of the, I think it has been the staple matchup of StarCraft 2 in particular. It's had, certainly its up and downs, but it's been marqueed by some of the coolest, most epic battles. And I'm always interested, like Polt, I don't give into the hype. Like every tournament, one of the storylines with Polt is, wow, you know,
is he still good at StarCraft?
Is he still what he used to be? And it's like, yes, constantly yes. But he is facing Soulkey, who I feel like, even though Polt is one of the most accomplished and awarded StarCraft 2 players, and he's done it in Korea, Europe, and America, I still put a player like Soulkey in a different caliber as him. I feel like Soulkey is a world-class, top-tier player who solely plays in Korea and does exceptionally well, which I think is an incredibly different level of a feat. That being said, I'm enjoying this little bit of reset where in Legacy of the Void, the game itself is different, but also the patches have radically changed the game. Kind of back and forth. We're still in that formative period of time where, yes, we had a really long beta, but because a lot of players were still playing Heart of the Swarm, it wasn't truly a...
We weren't seeing the best level of possible play.
Exactly.
And
so I'm interested.
I agree. Terran versus Zerg is in a pretty interesting spot. I'm mostly concerned, or I guess curious, or interested, whatever word fits best.
You are titillated.
Yes, I am titillated at the prospect of a Polt Terran versus Zerg, because I know, based on what other Korean Terrans have been doing and what people have been talking to me about their strategies in Legacy of the Void, is that it is mostly centered around building an endless stream of Marines and forcing them down to your opponent's throat before they can get Ultralisks out.
Which it kind of has been since the end of Liberty, but the Ultras is the new part. It used to just be like, parade, push forever until Zerg gets critical mass, but
yeah,
I've been enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah, because the thing was, like, it used to be that you would tech up, or and the Zerg would sometimes never make it to Hive if they had a good mid game.
Yeah,
they'd get the Hive, but then it kind of came down to like who could micro, who could control, who could macro better. But now it's like if you're Terran and they get to Ultras, you have to do something else. Like there's no walking up to your opponent, knocking down his fourth, 5 Ultras pop, and you're like, I can micro through this with Mass Marine. Like, no, it's not happening. Like, you will lose everything, so you have to keep in mind Ghosts are a great option. Liberators are a phenomenal option as well.
I'm interested to see when the matchup kind of more settles and the meta's kind of figured out. I feel like one of the things that kind of hamstrung the matchup is it became very mono build, more so than I feel like any other. There was like the odd Baneling all-in, there was Roach all-ins, but other than that, it was
as exciting as Terran versus Zerg has been for the past few years. Like, it basically was... I mean, in Wings of Liberty, you had, you open up Reactor Hellion, delay the third, Mutas come out, boom, boom. If they get Broodlords, they win. If they don't, you win. And then in Heart of the Swarm, you went to the Marine Widowmine push, and I think that was a little bit more dynamic. You usually had more back and forth rather than just, like, trying to push into Infestors while they turtle up to Broodlords. But in Legacy of the Void, there's a lot better options on late game for both sides, I feel. I feel the Liberator is a phenomenal new tool that's been added for Terran versus Zerg.
But also early game. I think Zerg, you're seeing different all-ins from them. you're seeing non-aggression because that Hive is so devastatingly powerful, and you're seeing different unit compositions.
Yeah, Zerg has more options in the mid game when it comes to how they want to play it out. You know, it's not uncommon, of course. You know, you got the Queen still doing the thing, pushing out, trying to get a little bit of pressure.
Queen's great, man. But like Ravagers, I think they are such a missing link from the first 2/3 of the life of StarCraft 2 so far. Wings Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, Zerg very much so suffered from like, I have roaches, yay! And they're like, oh crap, I still have roaches.
And no! Polt is doing one of those things Polt does best, as he drops this scan, he sees the Spires close to completing. He had these Hellions out for harass, but he snuck in that second barracks pretty early on, and as his stim finishes up, he's actually going to have a few more Marines, than Soulkey should expect. So he's got an armory that's completing as well, while he has his engineering base coming in. And what Polt wants to do is try to, you know, clear out the creep, sure, but also take advantage of the lack of possibly Baneling speed, which there isn't this early on in the game, and try to get some serious damage done. He has Stim, he has Hellbats. Let's see what he can get done. 5 Banelings are on the way. Stim is now ready. He could scan kill the creep, but he wants to push forward. He wants to get damage in.
Banelings are super late. He's going to get on top of them right now. It looks like most of, if not all, all of our canceled out Queens huddling in the corner. 5 meters simply not going to do it. 16 Lings are about to join.
What are you supposed to do with no Banelings? This is just Polt throwing out another one of those cute timings. This is what Polt does. He's a creative guy. I think most Terran players for the last few years, if you wanted to see something other than those standard builds that we've already discussed, Polt was your man for it. He's going for that fast Viking. Usually we get the fast second barracks, and this actually, interesting enough, is very hard of the swarm of Polt.
Yes.
We saw this all the time. I actually haven't really seen him doing this too much myself, you know, of his stream that I've watched, but I guess that's why he takes a bit of time off.
He can just pick up his force exactly like that. I mean, he might lose one medevac there.
And he's actually going to kill all the Banelings, so he's like, okay, I'm going to drop the Marines again, have fun killing those. What if that play with the Hellbats was fantastic, getting all the Banelings like that, and there are a few enough if he tries. I guess he's just going to be content to trade out here as his army gets cleaned up. But I mean, he shut down the third base. Polt has his own third base. Roach Speed's about to finish, but Polt's got 1-1 about to complete. He's got Terran vehicles level 1 on the way, and 1-1 for Roaches is coming in, while his Roach Horn is bleeding out in his third. But 2 base Zerg, not a fun place to be. And just think about it. He's already got Stim. Combat shows is very close. Like, everything this game is actually just gone super well in Polt's favor. This cheeky build that he just throws in.
And it's very interesting. I again, kind of want to reference, and this is, of course, a fact of life in StarCraft, a little bit RNG-oriented here. We do see a lot of Zergs opening up very differently from this. They have kind of more of a Roach Ravager opening, doing a 2-base all-in themselves. And I feel like in that situation, of course, Polt's craftiness and micro could get him out of that, but I would say otherwise he's fairly disadvantaged, like just naked Marines against Ravagers and Roaches. Well, I don't know, it's 50-50, but the point being, against this build in particular, as you said, very HOTS, and really tough in HOTS. Like, you had to have Banelings at that time. If you didn't, you better have 10 Queens for some reason, because otherwise you're dead. And I feel like Soulkey is good enough of a player to perhaps make this interesting after this, but he's been gimped really bad.
Yeah, Polt's trying to push onto the map with 2 more medevacs and quite a few more Marines. There's only 2 Banelings with this army, of course, the strongest part here for Soulkey, as Polt has his 1-1, his 2-2 is starting up. And Soulkey's on his way to getting his 1-1. It's pretty close at this point, but a fight right now could, you know, kind of spiral out of control.
I don't want to read too much into this, Nate, but what of the mech upgrade right there? I don't see anything composition-wise that he's doing with that, but why would you do that?
I think Polt's just
building to the late game, maybe?
I think he's just considering the possibility that he might build siege tanks later on if he can't stay out on the map.
Is that an answer for Ultras, though? I mean, is there like a... That's what I'm thinking. Is he thinking, like, if this goes late, I want to have 2-1 mech or something?
It's really weird because I don't know that Polt likes the slower play, which is kind of what Liberators favor, as he drops another scan to that main. He's kind of trying to see, he's like, well, where are you going with this? But really, he dealt such a blow to Soulkey early on that he doesn't have to worry. Like, Soulkey can't afford to rush Hive, or he wouldn't have had those Roaches that we just saw, and he would just die. So clears up a bit of creep and pulls back. But I feel Liberators are just such a better tool. I actually think, since he doesn't have any tanks, I'm going to actually agree with you. I'm a bit confused myself. +1 ship weapons would have been really nice, as because of the way Liberator attacks work, like they fire in 2 volleys, they do a lot of splash damage. Every attack upgrade for a Liberator is massive if they're going to fight against air, but also shooting on the ground, you know, every little bit of damage helps. Not that it really matters, because Liberator's 2-shot every ground unit Zerg has.
We'll see where we go with this, but right now Soulkey is content with continuing the upgrades on those Roach Ravagers. Just building Ravagers kind of a pair at a time, which is also kind of keying in on the fact that he does feel like he's way behind, as Nate said, not just going straight to Hive, and that's because he feels like if he makes too big of a switch to anything, he'll just die. And to be fair, Polt's selling that message. He's doing a great job of remaining outside the base and doing these drops and harass.
Yeah, and I love this. He's trying to pull them apart, and it's always been easier to max on roaches than anything else for Zerg players, for a supply per larva. But this is still not a cost-effective army in the long run, and Polt is just pulling him in every which way, going for these fights, pulling back. The air superiority is not there for Soulkey. He can't do anything about these drops, and if there's one thing Polt loves to do, it's drop all day. There we go, Terran vehicle ship weapons. I really like the ship weapons upgrade for the Liberators. He is starting to get a few more of them out, and you use these to get board control, zone out your opponent's forces. They are so strong.
Very strong. Now applying pressure to this 4th base. Again, a pretty sizable force moving up the middle of the map, but also Soulkey said, you know what, I got to do something myself. Drop comes into the main. It will be greeted here by probably enough since it is just Marines, but meanwhile the 4th base is going down.
Yep, he does snipe that 4th base. He takes a Widowmine shot onto some of those forces. He's got a massive army. He's going to try to move in. At the same time, the Brood Roaches are going to make their way over inside of the main base. Meanwhile, the drop hits inside of the main too, so he's going to try to deal with those Roaches, pulls back, and now he's going to make an attack on this 3rd base once again. He's got so many forces now. There are Roaches spread out all over his main base. 2-2 is not yet done for Soulkey. I don't think there's anything he can do to actually kill this army. The Roaches are going to town. They're trying to get some work done, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. That drop also lands back and behind the main base mineral line, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, the medevacs have been allowed to live. The air, as you said, superiority going in the favor of Polt, killing all the medevacs. And like, this Roach attack would be phenomenal if it weren't for the fact that he's losing the Roach Swarm, both the Evolution Chambers and his 3rd again. And to be half the amount of bases, kill 30, 40, 50 SCVs for all I care. He's making mules off of 4 or 5 CCs, and he's got an army advantage. So a little bit too little too late. Soulkey, I feel like, did what he could. This is not a bad plan, as we saw. Again, if he was able to hold the 4th, if the drops weren't happening, then this Roach attack would be what would bring Soulkey back into the game, but unfortunately, just so much damage done to him again.
Yeah, and Polt he's just been in a dominating position most of the game. I feel like that early attack he did, to be maybe a little too critical, kind of gave him this game. Like, it was Polt's game to lose from that first point. Like, you kill that much stuff, you kill those mutas, you kill those banelings, you kill, I mean, just the 3rd base in general is a death blow to most Zerg players. And Soulkey, he just never had a good answer to that, because Roaches were never going to be good versus the drops anyway. So Polt just happily 60 supply ahead. I guess he's just going to build up another army, secure his main and natural from the Roaches, get a turret or 2 out front, take this 4th base, and then, I mean, this army right now could kill everything he has at home.
Yes.
It's actually just been sitting here, but he could the stem A move and kill everything.
He pretty much could. It's just Ravagers back there, and even they are going to go to the front. And this might look like a dumb choice, but honestly, this is Soulkey saying, I'm dead. I'm just going to try something really wonky. It's not even a base trade. It's just like maybe Polt slips up in production. Maybe he's a little bit too confused on what's going on. We know these maybes are not true, but he's going to try this.
Yep, he's moving in on top of that 4th base. We have the Liberators here to help defend. There's Widow Mines if he tries to dive on top. And this army,
it's going to come back home. Like, and that's like, it's not the wrong choice because he actually can't make a wrong choice, but this is the one that I think Soulkey was hoping for.
Yeah, and I love these Widow Mines. Polt's just like, yeah, let's just lock you inside your base, get some kills. And he's like, yeah, I'm actually doing it. Where's Polt's army? Oh, it's coming from the back now, and it's all going to die.
Yeah, but finally, here's the turning the frown upside down a little bit. Soulkey needed much more predictive and better corrosive bile shots, and in that last fight he actually got him, which is tragically the one that didn't matter at all. Like, he actually targeted himself knowing that he was going to get stemmed into, and he backed out of it. It did devastating damage, but that's the cool thing about the Ravager. It used to be if you didn't have mutas, Terrans would just drop you all day long while your queens are like sidearm lobbing stones at him, and they're like, if I do this 47 more times, it'll kill a medevac.
We're getting there, but it's taking a bit of time.
But now, and I've seen some super savvy Zergs too that are like, you're not going to be right where you are right now. You're going to go over there, and then they because you have to preemptively shoot there, but it feels so good, and that's part of the excitement I have for Legacy of the Void too. Is there's much more expression of skill, and we're going to see more of this the more time that the players spend with it. Even
in a position where you're behind, like Roaches were always going to be like, okay, my opponent makes a mistake. Maybe the Roaches bring me back into this game. But with Ravagers, at the very least, you have that possibility where maybe I don't have as much, but if I can get the perfect corrosive biles, there is a chance. However small it is, you got a better chance than just straight up Roaches versus Polt.
But they're better in the hands of better players, and that's something that I feel like with Legacy of the Void, we have a lot more of that. Because, you're right. Like, Roaches could get in this weird situation where it's like, I hit 2-2, and even though I'm down a base, you skipped upgrades, and you just have Marines, so I'm kind of winning fights, and you made the wrong choice to not counterattack, but instead come home and defend. But that's more like A move, and choices, which is still interesting to me, but we're kind of addicted to StarCraft, so everything's interesting. But in Legacy of the Void, it's like, I have a much worse army, but if I land these biles on those 2 medevacs, I can turn the tide. And it's not just a like right click on it and kill it. It's I need to predict where you're going to be, and the other player has counterplay as well. Like I know.
Yeah, it adds a lot more
really cool.
skill into taking the actual engagements rather than, okay, my roaches have low range, move them closer so they can hit. You have a bit more to work with.
That was, and it still exists, but in a different way. But in StarCraft 2, the dumbest micro to me was like roach versus roach battles, where they're all just like shifting into each other. There's so dumb.
There's always as we're loaded into the next game, there's always those people out there that I like, yeah, but that was beautiful to watch. I'm like, no, watching people try to dodge corrosive bile and land them is there's a lot more exciting. I find this game a lot more fun to cast just from that alone. We're loaded into Prion Terraces for game number 2 as our Zerg player, who's down 1-0 in the bottom right, is Soulkey. It's a best of 5. Got a long way to go. Definitely, I'd say a bit of a more even match than the last one, but Polt showing a lot of strong play. Of course, he's the Terran player in the Northwest, and this map is
the worst.
It's better.
What? You were gonna say that?
It's it's been a topic of contention.
Oh my
you can't say it's the worst. Central Protocol is in the pool.
This is worse.
You really think so?
I do. I think any map where you could very easily take a gold, in fact, you have to basically take a gold as your third, and they're like, okay, well, all right. But on my 4th base, oh no, it's another gold. You just take another one. And if you get to the weird spot where you take a 5th base, you got the option for that to be a gold 2
Two
player.
golds, 1 map, and that has led to this happening pretty much every game.
It's dumb.
I don't think there's any good player that doesn't do a build like this. The 3 racks Reaper, sometimes if you're on NA ladder, 5 racks Reaper as well. You basically just use Reapers to try to kill the Zerg, because the economy from that 3rd and 4th base for Zerglings and drones and all that infrastructure for Zerg is mostly mineral based aside from the tech buildings.
And that's why I judge it a dumb map, because look at what Soulkey's doing. Soulkey knows that's what he's facing. Pretty much 100%.
Yeah. You could pretty much assume that most opponents will do this, otherwise the gold bases
shouldn't do that, Nathaniel. You shouldn't go into a map where both players in StarCraft 2 just kind of know what their opponent's going to do, and this is what I do. Like, if the meta dictates that, if the matchup gets there, okay, that's part of the game, but when the map says, you must kill them before the 4-minute mark, strikes 12 dotheth, and then you're dead, and that's not good.
Yeah. So the 3x Reaper, when Zergs have tried to go for the fast gold base, sometimes it can kind of give you a much easier time because the gold is harder to reach for the Lings and the Queens, but by taking the normal natural expansion, it will be a lot harder for Polt to get damage done with this. He's made a large commitment with this Reaper push. Usually Zerg players are just going to try to get speed, get a lot of Lings, surround them, knock them down.
But
the
very
Reaper
importantly,
grenade makes
queens.
That tricky.
Yes,
and
but
queens.
Keep making queens. It's not actually the Lings that's going to keep them alive. It's the queens. The Lings are just to buy enough time for there to be 300 queens.
Yep.
Because, as you said, with the grenades, if you make Infinity Lings, you are going to be a part of a Reddit highlight reel where your 35 Lings go for a surround, they chuck grenades at their feet, and then laugh as all of them die.
Yep. And this map does have those features, as we see. The Lings are trying to push these Reapers back. I mean, a surround here would be deadly, but...
Look at that. Look at
grenades. Well, 2 of the Reapers do get caught.
Yeah. I mean, it was good for the Zerg there, but even that one.
Reaper builds are still very heavily based around momentum.
This isn't Halo, though. I mean, in what, battle situation are you like, Johnson, drop the grenades at your feet, but sir, just do it, Johnson.
You don't know these Reapers have the martyrdom perk?
They do, man.
Always got to drop those grenades. He's already putting the bunker behind his wall, expecting a counter, but there will be no such thing. He's not really mining any more gas, so it doesn't look like he actually has enough gas if he were to build an Evo chamber. Like, I've seen some Zerg try to do a counter drop as well, which is really frustrating because you always want to keep your Reapers out on the map.
Yeah.
But of course, this is where it begins. He takes the more difficult to secure gold base early because he can start to spread creep from there, and then it becomes really hard to push into this base because all of your production just gets rallied here. And good luck killing the base then. So the Reapers are going to jump into the main base. Polt is looking for an opportunity. Zerglings are pretty fast, though. Are there enough of them? The counter's going to go, be denied as the grenades begin to fly.
In time. He's not...
He's still building Reapers. Yeah. Just Reapers.
Okay, the Reapers are out. So now that counterattack is denied. Oh, nades himself. Doesn't really matter. They'll heal in a second here. But I feel like part of the reason the bunker and everything showed up was also because he lost those initial 2 Reapers.
Yeah, usually
A lot of the wind out of the sails.
I'd say that puts you in panic mode to some extent. Losing any number of Reapers early on, just because they scale so ridiculously well.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's like this map,
trap.
then you have this little spot here where it's like, well, you would like to get these Reapers, but no, not happening.
Yeah, he didn't drop any grenades there. Yeah, I feel like Polt could actually be a lot better about grenades, more active about them. To put on my caster monocle, where I criticize one of the best players.
You know, he could be. You know, he could just become a machine and just do it perfectly. I think that would be a really beneficial.
Honestly,
thing for him
let's
to do.
ask ourselves why he hasn't already. You know, he does this for a living.
Why aren't these guys? Why aren't these guys in like test medical studies for like cybernetics, arms and legs, so that they don't actually have like the wrist issues anymore from playing?
Ooh, that'll be an interesting phase. You know, they already took out like guys that have the prosthetic leg that actually helps them run faster. What if there's a time when they start wondering in games if like guys that have games hooked up to their brain, because they got to ban them? All the Reapers die here, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you kind of do this, and this is actually a pretty normal phase. He's just like, okay, well,
really?
Yeah. I mean, at some point,
this is the Reaper.
At some point, you got to look back at your base and start macroing, man.
I lost all the Reapers, whatever.
It's like, eh.
He's got double gold. I'm sure I'm fine. Nothing a couple of medevacs can't fix.
There's a reason why he made that investment to Reapers, and the fact that it hasn't paid off. Well, if he had just done nothing and let Soulkey take 2 gold bases without trying to defend, he'd be in an equally unfun position.
I tell this story every once in a while, but honestly, I am like, if someone BMs me, I will BM you back. But otherwise, I'm not a BMer. I always GG. I don't really say anything unless someone says something to me. But one of the like few times I've ever BM'd someone unsolicited was against Cytoplasm, a Swedish Zerg player. On gosh, what was that cityscape gold base that the Terrans just floated to the middle?
Habitation station?
No, the one that was on top of a building. I really should remember the name of this. Oh, it might have been before your time.
It was on top of a building?
Yeah, bro. It was one of the really common maps.
I know Metropolis was on top of a building.
Yeah.
People didn't float to gold in Metropolis.
They did, Nathanius. But he was Zerg, so it doesn't really fit here. But what he did do is take his natural at the gold. And I remember taking my hands off the mouse and just
Do you mean Metalopolis?
Metalopolis.
Okay.
I was going to say,
I don't think there's a gold base on Metropolis.
Metropolis. They have so many similar letters, Nathanius. I can't keep track of this stuff.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, that's one of the only times I ever BM'd someone unsolicited. I was like, how do you sleep at night, you dirty scumbag?
Yeah, well, Soulkey's going to be able to afford to build infinite roaches, as he does have 2 gold bases mining now.
Yeah.
As Polt has just landed his 3rd. But of course, this map is so open. Like Polt's going to.
It's a tough 3rd.
You need so much to defend that. So he's going to push out. He's going to try to do something here. But I don't think there's any medevacs, so this is really risky.
Risky's a word for it, I guess.
He's got Stim and Combat Shield.
No, it's dead. This is dead.
Without medevacs.
I feel like what Polt's trying to do, like good Stim evasion.
He's kind of getting close. He missed the corrosive biles.
You get excited about it?
Yeah, I want to get excited about this.
I'm not gonna stop you. Let your passion flag fly. Get excited about this.
Well, you know, if I criticize Polt's push here, then it's just my bias showing. So, save
it for your stream.
Say it for me, Jeff.
Save it for your stream with us. Yeah, I mean, I know what Polt's doing here because they're both on the same page. Soulkey's like, all right, got both gold saturated. I'm upgrading, whatever. I'm just gonna, from this point forward, it's 4-hatch production. You can't hold your 3rd.
So let me ask you this then: why would Polt veto Laralac Crest instead of this map?
I think Polt's asking that question right now as well.
He's like, I thought my Reaper, he's like, I thought my Reaper micro would be better.
I thought I could just walk Reapers at him and win. No, bro. No.
And taking these golds so early, like the creep spread is really pushed far out now from the northeast. Yeah. So trying to attack
has no escape.
Yeah. No. He still doesn't have. There's still no medevacs out here. Like he's. I mean, at some point, Soulkey's just be like.
Oh, that's right. Polt doesn't GG. I forgot. No, this will go on for a little while longer.
Yeah, Polt doesn't die very quickly.
But guys, ladies and gents at home, unlike the Little Bow game, I'm not going to get this one wrong. Okay, if Polt wins this, I will eat Nathanius's pants.
I don't know. You like the taste of denim, Jeff?
I like the taste of it.
Okay. 2-2's on the way for Polt. As Soulkey
sick
has
transition,
his,
bro.
+2 carapace.
Hosting that DreamHack desk has really opened you up to humor.
Oh yeah,
You're super comfortable in awkward situations.
It's a brave new world we've entered into, Jeff.
Should I make you more comfortable and just say Roddy in the club after every sentence? Would that bring you more at home at a looser cast?
Yeah, sure, why not? So Soulkey's maxed out,
Ooh,
or at least he could if he really wanted to. I think if he built a few more overlords, he has the resources to just max on roaches. But he's choosing to go for ultras instead, because Polt can't really attack him right now. He's going to go for a drop in the main base. Oh, he didn't go. He didn't send his army exactly where Polt's drops are headed. He has some lings there.
You getting excited again?
I just have. Yeah, I mean, I want to believe, right? You got to believe. Polt is, if any player is going to come back from, up against the dude who's got 2 gold bases, then it's got to be Polt, right?
You see that claw upgrade up there, the orange one?
Oh, that's the GG upgrade.
That is the GG upgrade.
On this matchup, it's also the one that comes out of the Ultralisk Cavern.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the if you're really being stubborn.
My favorite part is that when you're trying to do this pressure, you're trying to make something happen as a Terran player. And then it's
gold, though.
You need so much to make these
fight.
You need so much to make these pushes work, and Polt's trying his best to get work done. But the problem is everything that he's invested into, upgrade-wise, tech-wise, infrastructure-wise, is completely useless as soon as this chitinous plating upgrade is done.
Yeah.
In a straight-up fight, he needs a completely different army to win once there's Ultralisks on the map. And the double gold base is he's just honestly Soulkey's just been in a really good spot. But as Polt increases in supply, I'm not going to completely count him out here yet, Jeff.
Yeah,
I refuse.
He's doing what he can. You know what? I don't mind being
But
the
he
villain
does. He does have to switch to something else, unless he's going to try to win this game in some super weird base trade. There's no way he's going to beat an army that's got multiple ultras and chitinous plating if he gets that +3 carapace as well.
3/3 upgrades for himself. It's going to be through drops. He does pick off the 5th base attempt. Soulkey's going to double expand to make up the difference, I suppose, here. And again, one of the factors that Terran does kind of go into this matchup these days knowing is there's not a flock of mutants. There are infestors, so a drop could be devastated. Have to be very careful about that. But otherwise, creep being fought back a little, 5th base being picked off. So the doom of Terran is being staved off, Nathanius. The supply, as you said, clawing closer and closer.
Yep. Important things to know, of course, Soulkey's going to start to build up a bank from here, but his chitinous plating is ready. And since there aren't even upgrades, that means these Marines and Marauders don't really do damage against the Ultralisks anymore. So he's going to step out on creep, but, I mean, he's got to lift up and get out of here. But if he gets fungled,
that's a lot of medevacs.
Okay, only gets 1. I was going to say, that actually would be GG right there. But this army, you can't fight versus Ultras. He has to just drop everywhere, build up a Liberator count, and just hope that he can take a fight by his Liberators, because otherwise he's just going to get rolled over.
Off her game observing right now by It's just late at night for her.
At least Polt's doing his thing where he's able to get all over the place. That's
what I'm saying.
He's dealing damage.
Gold
he's trying
base
to get
under
all
pressure.
over. But this counterattack, I like this. Soulkey's just saying, actually, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to knock down whatever you have. I told you the only way Polt has a chance in this game is if it goes to a really awkward base trade. Yeah, we're on our way to a really awkward base trade.
It's almost like you do this for a living or something, fans.
Yeah. Polt chaps out. GG. Soulkey takes map
The timing tonight has been beautiful. I called this a really weird, but GG is called. Polt has had enough.
I mean, yeah, I think it's best on this map that you just double down, go 5 racks.
If
one
Soulkey
base.
would have kept chasing the drops and been like, stop, Polt could have done something there. He was picking off expansions.
That's the thing. It's what is the one thing Ultras can't really do, and that's catch medevacs, right? So it's okay, well, I know that Marine Marauder doesn't deal damage to Ultras, so just move across the map with those, build Lings at home and try to clean them up, and then eventually Polt's going to die, because at some point you're going to come home, too.
That's part of what makes that map so difficult, though. It's actually, it's a 2-edged sword,
Well, the rush distance is very short.
That's what I'm saying, is the moment where he's like, I've had enough of this harass and attacks, you're already at the 3rd, you're at the 4th.
Yeah, the creep spread's in the center of the map, which is a stone's throw away over from that gold 3rd base, so.
And that's a hell of a stone throw. If you think about the scale of those Marines, that is.
If you think about the scale of the size of an Ultra,
that's 4 football fields, bro.
But if you were wearing a power suit, if you were wearing a Marine power suit, and if Prion Terraces has lower gravity than Earth,
does it though?
Well, we don't know, but we can speculate.
Someone in chat knows. It's been discussed in one of the novels.
Is it in the lore? That's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah.
Keep asking me if I'm ready. We are always ready to go.
A Tempest doesn't even shoot that far, Nathanius. A Stone's Toss? You're off your game, bro.
Man. I mean, a Tempest. But a Tempest with the Energizer from the campaign would be able to, because it gives extra range.
Yes, a capital ship with an electrically charged super mega weapon can shoot that range.
Yeah.
A Space Marine with a robotic arm throwing
You said a Tempest can't. I just applied parameters.
Right. And I'm now using your parameters to display how ridiculous it is.
All right. We're going to Arena. Wow. I mean, what are the rest of these maps? Central Protocol is going to be the next one, and then Ruins? What a weird map pool.
I'm liking it.
Soulkey vetoed Orbital Shipyard, by the way, so he's just showing how evil he is because he knows that's like probably Terran's favorite map versus Zerg, or one of them. I'd say Dust Towers as well. But it's tied 1 apiece here, ladies and gentlemen. It's Intel Extreme Masters Taipei, day 1. In the top left of the arena, we have the red Terran player representing CM Storm. He is Polt.
You beat me on this map, Nathanius. You beat me in a dirty way.
Oh, I beat you with one of the dirtiest cheeses there is.
You did.
Yeah.
I'll get you, dirty Terran.
I've beaten a lot of people on this map that I should never ever beat in TVP because of the ghost pepper cheese. His opponent in the bottom left, the blue Zerg player, he is Soulkey. The rush distance on that map makes early pushes for Terran really strong. It's a
cool map. This is one of the maps where we've heard David Kim interviews, and even in reply, which he does such a good job of replying to the community and kind of talking about their thought process. He wants substandard maps, and a lot of times that can make a map really bad and stupid, like the game before. But in this case, I feel like this is a healthy mix of weird stuff happens here, but it's cool and it's fun in a best of series.
Yeah, I think Ulrina's a really entertaining map to play on. Like, I mean, it's kind of weird to say because it's like, okay, you know, I do like weird cheeses on this map, but you can do weird cheeses on this map. You know, like you have a lot of options for super aggressive play. You have options for super weirdly turtley play. You've got this really tight choke point.
That's an interesting element. But even as the game goes on, you expand away from yourself. There's no options to the left of your base. Like that's the map.
You're just going down the line, and then if you want, if you're rough, you're Avila, you go for the gold base in the middle as well.
Nobody's those guys except for those guys. But thankfully.
I actually saw an amazing highlight, I think, from one of the Katowice qualifiers where a Protoss player got Nidist here after he warp prismed to the island, and then he recalled his whole entire army there, and his mothership core had no more energy. He actually lost. He completely lost the game because he couldn't teleport his army out because he moved everything there. It was great.
Interesting.
Yeah, but see that only on Ulrina.
I feel like there's a hashtag for that we should all be talking about.
Hashtag only on Ulrina.
Only things that Ulrina does. Just say Ulrina or
Ulrina. Just Ulrina things. I do agree though. I love this map.
I do too.
It's a very awkward map. A lot of crazy stuff happens here, but you know what? Crazy beats the same thing every game.
Which we had a little bit too much of. HOTS did a better job, but certainly Wings of Liberty there was stagnation. And like I see the Void right now, some people would probably tell you there's too much weirdness going on, but I think that's normal.
This SCV though.
What? What do you...
Hey, he tried.
Can you tone down your passion?
I got excited about that SCV surviving.
Ugh.
If I was playing this game right now, that'd be a highlight right there if that SCV survived, okay?
It would like zoom in and out and left and right and like EDM music going on.
Exactly.
Your face like strangely warping in and out.
We'd get like the hit markers and everything. It'd be great.
Actually, that's something that if we're talking about weakness in the StarCraft community, not to hate on anyone at ESL or anything like that, because I actually haven't watched any highlight reels from there or something like that, but other games, like nothing but like there's these famous highlight reels of other games that are really, really cool and exciting. Every time they try to do one in StarCraft, it's like semi-interesting micros slowed down 10x and then like zoomed in and out and like gray and black and like
you shake the camera a little bit. You're like, whoa! He built a bunker.
You know, it's like actually not that great.
So Polt's gonna go for a tank drop in this game. Maybe just one siege tank. Really? Okay, so it's a defensive tank. I still feel like using the medevac to move across the map. Like this map is great for tanks because you can set up here and then slowly push through. Especially just the size of the map is so small. Like
Did that get spotted, by the way? By the really weird... Is that a Viking at the bottom of the map? Flo, can you get a pic? No, it's a Reaper. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know if it got spotted. But these Lings, I think we're thinking about a counterattack, but are now not going to be doing that, of course.
But you can see how Polt's adjusting to this map, though. He's not really like a... I would say he generally likes to play the macro game, but he's setting himself up on 2 bases. He's got this Reaper running around. But he's just going 2 base this game. He's adding on extra barracks. He's getting stim. We're going to see a Marine, probably like I guess he wants to go for Marine Mine since he moved the factory off of the reactor and this lair starting up just a bit late. Yeah, he's got the tank watching the front, so
Marine's standing outside of the bunker. It's my favorite kind of Marine.
Yeah. He's going to grab this Overlord. He does start the 3rd command center, but he's set up very well for 2 base pressure with these barracks being done so early. You can start building medevacs. You can start going for stim.
That's one of the Polt specials, though. He's done this across like almost all the matchups, like a surprising amount of units. That's kind of one of the Polt's war philosophy.
I mean, it's a new game, sure, but it's still Polt, right?
It's still Polt.
Polt's always been that guy though, because he actually frustrates a lot of Terran players, because they'll be like, this build's really hard to deal with as this drop gets caught. But if Polt will just be like, actually, I've come up with some really weird build that doesn't make any sense, but it's actually really good no matter what. So
it's called Marauders.
He's kind of always been good, no matter where the meta lies, in a roundabout sort of way.
He's been timeless, and it's cool. We're seeing him here in the round of 8 of a major tournament. Awesome. And if he can somehow get past Soulkey, I think that'll put a stamp on a good run here as well.
Yep.
Round of 4. But he's got his work cut out for him. Soulkey pretty dominant, although again, I feel like that map's a little bit of a gimme. This map a little bit more evenly matched. I was curious. Both players opened up a little bit more kind of interesting. Polt took the double gas fairly early on, and Soulkey opened up gas first, which is, again, something that like it harkens back to HOTS, but was like the defensive HOTS. If you weren't all-inning off of that, it was much more defensive, but we're expanding into the mid-game here.
Yep. Polt's going to start floating out third command center out. He's got a lot of Marines on the map now. No combat shield. There you go. Just finally starting up. So the Marines are vulnerable, yes, but there's no Baneling Nest. It's just going to be Marines versus Ling Ravager. He's going to take this fight, boost away.
This is an interesting part of the meta, too. Like, I wonder the evolution of this. We've definitely been in situations before in Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty where Terran players knew they weren't facing mutas and had air supremacy, so they did a lot of this drop stuff. Just kept the Zerg activated, kept them busy, fought back the creep. But I feel like it's going to be much more prominent in the meta now in Legacy of the Void for Terrans to be like, I can reliably do this. I'm going to be out on the map. So I wonder, it probably won't have the biggest impact, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I like that he's getting Burrow again. We saw
No, he just topic switched on me. You don't know what I mean.
The nice Roach Burrow play.
I need a more analytical commentator like Todd here. You know what I mean?
You just want someone to agree with you on everything, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but...
I apologize for having an opinion.
Then I wouldn't cite Todd, by the way. Are you kidding me? Todd wouldn't agree with me. Who would agree with me?
TLO would. TLO would agree with me on
everything. The opposite true as well.
Tunneling Claws coming in.
You know what? Kevin wouldn't agree. Damn it. I think nobody... I need to...
Have you ever considered that your opinion may be the one that's a little too out there?
That's what I'm saying.
When no one agrees with you.
I need Tastosis to start casting StarCraft again. That's what I need.
There you go. Well, Pro League and GSL have been firing up. The rest of the barracks production is going up for Polt now as he gets ready to begin the parade push across the map. I mean, Polt
tough map to do that though. Like the narrow path is fairly obsolete at this point in time. You don't want to take a fight there. And now that we go towards mid-map, well, he did do a decent job of fighting back creep, but Soulkey has done a pretty good job himself.
Nice mine shot. Grabs some Lings. +2 attack
because
on the way.
Of Shell, of course.
Yes. The
Marauders and Polt.
Polt loves his Marauders. I mean, they don't die instantly, right, to the corrosive vial, so they're definitely a little bit more sturdy than just playing Marines.
Again.
Yeah, it's almost done.
Look at Soulkey. He keeps doing this, by the way. He will not make, 10 Ravagers in a row. He makes them in pairs. It's kind of interesting.
I guess he doesn't want to dump all of his resources immediately.
Yeah. It's smart. I like it. I appreciate it. It's definitely not the norm, I don't think.
I guess, it's pretty common, at least in games and such you watch, like, streams and what Zergs do, like, just like, okay, you just slam down that key, and then suddenly they actually, like, for that brief 12 seconds, they have no army.
Yeah.
And then they get attacked and like,
oh god!
Well, I could cancel my Ravagers and lose the game, or I could let my Ravagers continue to morph and still lose the game.
Yeah, it's really nice. Kind of a big moment here, by the way. Both queens to get picked off, as well as the active creep tumors on that side.
Their creep spread's been shut down pretty reasonably well by Polt. I mean, keeping it at the halfway mark for such a small map.
This is vintage Polt, by the way. His army's never together.
Think it's really important to note as he starts to fall back here that he scanned and saw that there's no hive on the way, which means it's pure Roach Ravager from here on out for Soulkey, who's max. He's got a lot, but he's got Liberators, tanks, and some of these Widow Mines. He's buying himself a lot of time to continue to max out by using those mines.
Seeing him pick off the Widow Mines, by the way, it makes you wonder if against a good Zerg, if Widow Mines are even close to being worth it at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're like buying time, but that's certainly not what you hope for with your Widow Mines.
Yeah, at the very least, it gives him, like you said, time to get more forces out. But the Liberators are going to get sniped by the Corrosive Vials. Soulkey continuing to push in. This Roach Ravager army just seems to be a bit much. But now that the Roaches have been chewed through, the Ravagers do have less hit points than Roaches. So if the Ravagers get to the front of the army, they die pretty fast. He's going to pull SCVs. Ooh. He wants to go for a big counterattack after this, I'd imagine. But Soulkey falling back at the same time. Drop's going to hit that fourth base in the bottom right. He's got Roaches burrowed and moved into the mineral line of the third base. And Polt taking a beating here.
very interesting choice by Soulkey. He did have roaches to support the Ravagers, but he immediately burrows them to make his way to the third, and I think it was dangerously close to giving up all the Ravagers, but was able to calculate the distance well enough and separate himself. Didn't lose all the Ravagers, lost a decent chunk of them, but does buy himself more time. Polt losing that, well, not losing the third, of course, but having it disrupted pretty significantly is very dangerous at this stage of the game. He doesn't have a fourth base, and he's starting to mine out his main base. That's another cool thing, is the pace of Legacy of the Void. You really, like, all of a sudden that harass becomes very meaningful. You're down to one base all of a sudden.
I definitely agree there, especially with so few bases that you can take on this map, especially because you stretch yourself so thin. He's going to push in through the Liberators, taking a lot of damage from those Liberators, actually, as they lay waste to this force. But I think the Roaches and the Ravagers are just such high numbers that falling back isn't as much of an option for Polt right now. The SCVs come off the line again, and Soulkey just seems to have beaten, battered, and bruised him to the point of defeat. GG is called, and Soulkey goes up 2-1. A single map win away from having to face off against Hyun tomorrow.
Another 3-0, if it goes that way. But I do like the game plan for Soulkey. I think it's very smart for this map. The third base, not nearly as exposed as some of the other maps, but predictably he's like, okay, Polt's a Marine, Marauder, Medevac kind of guy. As long as I don't take significant damage, get up to 4 bases, I can max out on 2-2 Roach Ravager myself. And that's really difficult to hold off, especially with good Ravager control. Like Widow Mines, buy you time. Liberator's good, but the second they're in that siege mode, they're going to do good damage, but they're also going to die. You're going to target them, triple click or quad.
It's 3.
Is it 3? It's 3?
3 biles kill.
3 biles, and then they're gone, and they die pretty quick. Like, the cooldown on Ravagers is not slow. Like, it's like, oh, you have a Liberator. That's going to kill 2 Roaches. You're dead.
Like I said, like, Ravagers, like, they just, like they wear their infinite ammo bandanas into battle. They could just continuously fire, like, pretty much nonstop.
Yeah.
Central Protocol is going to be the next map, and for that reason alone, I'm extremely worried for Polt.
That reason alone.
Well, you
have no other reason to be excited about this match.
Well, I said I'm worried about this. I'm worried about Polt.
That's your only concern?
I mean, I'm always excited to watch StarCraft.
Basically, listen, they flew me into Burbank because they were noticing we were having problems with Nathanius's wild claims while he was broadcasting, and I'm here to rein you in, Brett. Okay?
This is it? The sleeper agent?
That's what Carmack asked me to do.
All right. That's fair.
Wear a plaid shirt and look like a lumberjack.
So say you were the one that went off for Prion, though, pretty hard. This is another map
where...
Well,
it's not about me, all right? Let's not...
Yeah, let's not make it... This is another map. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Reaper play come back into this. Right. I keep getting asked if I'm ready. All right. Ready. Let's go. We'll start the game up. I feel like I wanted to say something.
And then I threw you off guard.
Yeah, but you know what? I got it. I still really feel like Polt could have done a lot more with that opening. Like, I feel like he opened 3 racks expecting to get a 2-base push, but then Soulkey just went right up to 3 bases, droned hard, and had, like, even without the golds, like, he just had a really nice economy. And Polt going for 3 CC after 3 racks, like, he was just behind all game economically.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that last comment in particular. I think if you open up 3 barracks, you have to do damage. You have to do something. Yeah. And killing 2 queens and several creep tumors is nice. But that's not really the damage we're talking about. That is like, I need to get him to pull his drones. I need to pick off a hatch, like that kind of damage, or at least kill a bunch of stuff. But Soulkey just pushed on, took a 4th. There was like a light marine drop over there that 2 roaches just kind of were like, get out of here. And that was it.
Yeah, he dismissed it pretty easily, and I think that's also just another thing about that map. Even with the short rush distance, the choke points to attack someone are really small. But we're loaded into Central Protocol.
Which you think is the worst map, right?
This is personally my least favorite map. Okay. I think it's easier because you don't have to scout on Prion Terraces to Reaper all in. But that's just me. You have to, sometimes... If you get cross spawns on this map, then Reaper all-inning is a bit hard. But then it's easy to Reaper cheese if you get B spawns, for example. Polt, of course, the Red Terran player in the top left. He is down 1-2. Needs to win the next 2 games to keep his...
Is it 1-2?
Yes.
That's how bad my brain is right now?
Yes.
What was the game Polt won?
Those Towers, game 1. He crushed him. He killed the 3rd. Jeff,
no,
he killed the 3rd. He
Listen,
got the mutas.
In
he
my
had
defense,
5 Hellbats tank.
12 hours ago, I was in Florida, coming back from Mexico.
That's fair. That's fair.
In my defense. But also, that's part of my charm. I don't always know exactly where I'm at.
I'll just abridge it for all of you guys. Jeff lost his passion. It's okay. I understand.
Jeff had to recharge his passion, Brad. Okay.
So
now, let's talk
Polt's
about this.
actually just going to do a Reaper expand, a single Reaper expand. He's going to play this map straight up.
But why is this such a bad map now? That's what I want you to do. Because
I mean,
I played one game on this, couldn't
issues,
see anything, and then vetoed it and haven't come back.
The biggest issues that everybody has with this map come mostly down to just the layout of the third base, right? Polt has two options for a third. He can take the option that's super far away from his natural, where his army would be. Like, this is a big ramp. You can't block this off easily. Speedling play early on is super popular for that reason alone. But then you've got back rocks as well. And then if you're a crazy suicidal Terran, you can take the third base outside their natural, which is... you know what? This map is played so little that I actually think that happens pretty often because people just don't even... Like, people aren't even thinking about it as much. And to be fair, if you could take that as a third, you know, might as well just PF it and just stage your Marine tank all in from there.
I do have a quick update for you. I now remember game 1.
Congratulations.
But I did that while listening to your analysis, and I think it's spot on. I also remember some of the games here, and it is frustrating the distance between bases.
Yeah.
And how that gets kind of
Because the biggest thing is, like, could Polt break the rocks and make his third base closer to his main base? Sure. But then you have to consider that it's not possible. There's no wall you're going to build that's going to keep that base safe.
Yeah.
And then even if you have your army here, and then they just decide, okay, I'm just going to go here, and then you have this giant space, and you have to go a really far way to actually be able to defend against that. So, I mean, you get these spawns, and let's not even forget, whoever gets knocked down behind, like if either player falls behind at all, this rush distance is steps of war.
That might be a stone's toss right there.
Yeah. That is your
still an incredible throw, but
it's still a tough
much
throw,
more realistic.
But if we assume that, you know, you're either in a power suit or you're, you know, a genetically evolved being like a Zergling or a Queen, then maybe
that's worth considering as well. Even Space Marines, by the way, are genetically engineered.
That's true.
And then also in power armor.
Yep.
So I feel like both players, again, kind of the map dictated to both of them. Like, I think Soulkey says, I gotta survive.
Yeah. There's no fast third build on this map unless you are, I don't know, absolutely crazy, maybe. Or maybe you take a ninja base.
Which is funny because this is what made me a pretty bad professional player in particular, is there's always that voice of like, this is what I understand to be true. But then there's that also voice is like, but they know that, so what if you do the weird thing?
This is not one of those maps where you can do the weird thing.
No.
It's actually just so wide open. Like, consider that, especially like if you're gonna do for like plays to try to get inside your opponent's base, the main base is massive. Drop play becomes an issue later on. Like, just aside from the fact that you're already trying to cover the wide angle into your third and your natural.
Do you think it's Terran favorite as the game goes on then? Is that what you're saying?
With the way the map spreads itself out, I don't really have an opinion on that, just because I haven't seen enough games, because everybody vetoes this map. So I guess that's one of the interesting things about this format here for Intel Extreme Masters Taipei, is that because we start with best of fives, we have a higher chance of seeing this map. Because I would put my money, if this were a best of 3, Polt or one of these guys would have vetoed it, even if I think this map has some features that favor Zerg, because at the very least you can spread creep, which will let your army bounce between those expansions a little bit faster. But at the same time, I think this map would have been vetoed if the players could have vetoed it. You know, I think it comes down to, it's like in online tournaments, people just agree to, like, instead of doing vetoes, like, can we just play on Dust Towers, Orbital Shipyard, and Prion Terraces or something like that?
In whatever order you
in whatever order you want. And then if there's a Zerg, then instead of Prion, you ask for like Arena. But
poor Reapers, man, they still have the same lifespan in StarCraft. Like, just since the beginning, no one is saving Reapers for the end. Like that upgrade that used to exist, where it was like, well, later in the game they have more point. Nope.
I think I've seen Bjorn or someone, of course, someone that's like, you know, literal god tier, use Reapers in a fashion where, like, you get these Ling Bane charging you and you throw like 3 grenades in front of your army.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, super hard to do while simultaneously splitting, stimming, and kiting all of your other forces.
QXC used to, when he was up like 17 bases against his opponent, would come out with a volley of Reapers. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was always fun. He's like, yeah, Reapers with the grenades.
Super good.
In Wings of Liberty, he's like, Reapers are so good at sniping buildings late game tech. I'm like, okay, if you've already won the game, maybe.
Which is when they would show up.
Because otherwise, you have
that's
no
how far behind him. Damn. But it looks like the Spire is going to be mostly fake, so some mutas are going to come out.
And he's just going to switch back into roaches, because the rush distance is non-existent with creep spread too. It's like you just slip and slide right into Polt's base.
Look at these mutas. This is tryhard StarCraft. This is my favorite. 3 mutas. 4 mutas. If that tricks anybody, let me sell that person. Let me just sell them stuff, because I'll take all their money.
Well, Polt's starting to clear up the creep.
This is a beautifully timed attack, by the way. This is Polt's best chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, the upgrades aren't ready for the roaches. He doesn't have speed. There's not a lot of Ravagers on the map. This is his best opportunity.
Got
but
to
now
actually push though.
Now he's distracted though. He's looking back and trying to deal with the mutas. I'm like, yeah, just keep moving forward. You're in a good spot.
It's 4 mutas. Let him kill something.
Let them feel good about
themselves.
themselves.
Won by their mere existence, but now this push is stagnated. He actually has to go get the third or something.
With an army this marine heavy, like a corrosive bile can splash and kill like 3 or 4 marines per shot. And he's letting these 4 mutas cut his production down. They're killing medevacs. 4 mutas aren't supposed to actually do this. I think Soulkey like just marches down, drop the corrosive biles, not enough medevacs to pick all the tanks up, and he's just gonna kill him.
Or any of them, actually, as it were. He's just like, tanks be damned. Okay, he's gonna save the last one. Does get out of here a little bit.
Where are the hero mutas? Man, they're just chilling. Look, they're even coming back.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
These have been like the best mutas I've ever seen.
This is the best just 4 mutas ever made.
It literally is.
Outside of when Bly did 1-base muta rushes and won 1 game somehow in the Hard Storm. Those were also
well, they're shutting down this drop. Like, they're actually going to live. He pulls them back.
Wow.
The 3 Marines are like, hey, stay out!
The 4 mutas. The dream.
God.
Polt with
good
another
attack
wave,
here,
though.
This is good.
It's a good jump in. Gets the queen. He's going to push forward, but the tank immediately gets picked off. And oh, whoa, what? Don't walk into your own corrosive biles.
Not really enough mutas to super focus down these medevacs, but he does have to pick off the mutas because these medevacs, well, don't exist.
Bye-bye medevacs, and now the Marines can't run away. Polt is rallying. I guess the best thing about this is that this is like...
He's getting the third, though, by the way.
Yeah, if you're a Terran player, this is the closest.
Flo's been off her job, to be honest.
I'm grossly disappointed with him.
Yeah, me too.
And, you know, the one thing about this map that is really nice for Polt, though, is it gives Terran that feeling of having warp in, because you rally your forces, and then they're right there at your opponent's base, so...
The thing to keep in mind, though, is there is no third CC that I can see.
Nope.
And not even the 4th gas. So this is kind of an all-in, and as the main dries up...
It's not a 3-base map, right? And Soulkey...
Well, he's certainly playing it that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Polt is playing this map about as best as he can. I'm curious how many games he actually plays on this map.
Is this his final form, you think?
I don't know. I'm just not sure. Well, I hope it's not, because he has to play another game after this if he wins.
True.
I hope he has something else up his sleeve.
Big push coming out here. Down in supply. Fights in the middle of the map here, though. And again, the corrosive biles will affect the Zerg units. Keep that in mind. We saw that earlier. Yeah,
I mean, people talk about, you know, the Roach supply efficiency, but the Ravager count really brings that supply efficiency back for Zerg in this expansion of StarCraft. Picking off the tanks with the corrosive biles. Yeah. Picking off the medevacs with corrosive biles.
Gets in on the Ravagers, though, and this is kind of the soft underbelly of the Zerg army, but it just doesn't look like it's as much. Yeah. Those medevacs are like 1 bile away from losing 3 of the 4. Which would be devastating.
I like that he's sprinkling in a few links too, just like eat a shot or two. And look at this, you turn the weakest Roach into a Ravager, gets all its health back. He's taking a trip to Value Town now. Control.
He's just maximizing his stuff, man. Supply-wise, though, getting a little bit closer. But again, Polt is fighting against the sands of time.
He's running out of money. He's gonna make this push in one more time, and you know the weakened tanks are the ones that are least exposed, but he does get those anyway with the corrosive bile. The range on that is also pretty nice from how far you can cast it. You kind of need it to kill Liberators, but in fights like this, it does really, really help.
And we're seeing this played out the way we were talking about. Like, Soulkey just has to survive.
Yeah, Soulkey he has the 3rd base. He has more money to work with. Like, if his main mine's out, it's like, whatever, I can move to my 3rd. But Polt's like, I'm lifting my main. I have to go somewhere else.
And it's actually a long trip.
Yep. Because, yeah, I don't think he broke down those rocks either. And now Soulkey's just going to surround his army, pinning him inside, or outside of his natural, forcing the lift up. Soulkey's just chilling.
The dangerous thing here, too, is with Polt retreating all the way back to his base, the map is small, but from here, Soulkey knows where Polt is, and he's got Overlords on the left side of the map, too, so he knows it's not being dropped. And when a Zerg's comfortable like that, it's really difficult to deal with him, because one of the ways to punish a Zerg...
Yeah, he gets a ling on that, too.
Yeah. Well, he's had that there, actually. Soulkey's on top of things. 3rd base under attack, though. And this is something I felt like Polt needed to do more of, and he's going to get inside the natural here. Should get the hack and all the drones.
This is a good pickoff. You really needed this.
It's huge.
20 drones killed in the last battle.
Sorry, there's not enough room for you.
Lifts up.
Whoa, there was enough room.
Oh, he barely made it out.
And now this 3rd base, by the way, all of a sudden Soulkey was feeling great.
Right now, Polt is doing. This is what Polt does.
Not so much now.
This is the Polt thing. He's actually making it. He's actually making a game out of this.
Are you getting excited, Nathanius?
I am getting excited.
This is when you should get excited, Nathanius.
But then look at good luck defending your 3rd because it's so far away. So I mean, he should actually have that completely shut down.
But that's a big army. He actually can kind of, yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Well, no, you can't fight that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't throw all of his corrosive biles out at once, like he can always threaten Polt with that to keep him away.
Keep him moving, too.
Yeah, and really, Polt has no income outside of this base. He has some minerals banked up, but that's it. So he has to make everything out of that. And the tanks are isolated away from the rest of the army. A great concave for Polt, but as the siege tanks die, this army loses a lot of its muster.
Well,
but Polt, he's got enough
Ravagers.
Marines. He might actually be able to do it. He's finally got that supply lead for the first time in this game.
Good corrosive bile. Again, saying this is going to cost you if you're going to chase me. That one,
okay.
Pretty big. Third base, still not under attack, by the way. I do believe Polt has a medevac over there.
The thing is, in Heart of the Swarm, if this were just roaches, then Polt wins the game right now, right? But the Ravager really gives Soulkey that ability to shove him back with the corrosive biles. And that third base, he lost 20 SCVs of his own. Total work count is 23 drones, 24 SCVs. You've got mules, too. But, of course, that means you can't clean up the creeps, so Soulkey can still kind of dance around you if you attack him. The natural that was never taken again.
Polt up a little dribble of supply. He needs to. This is kind of the dictating fight, though, here in the middle. Corrosive bile going down in the front lines. They're all pulls back in the last second, but it does cost him a little bit.
It's quite a few of the Marines there at that initial throw, but I mean, pushing here without that creep spread is also really difficult because that bio, it can just catch you so fast and chase you. But it seems like he's making something out of this, and he's like, yep, I'm going to go to that base. You must bring everything over here to defend. And, you know, it's just unfortunate. You know, with the low econ, he could have tried to slip something into the natural now. But I think he's content to just try to knock down as much of the economy as possible. He knows this is a low econ game. He knows what's at stake. And Soulkey, this is still everything he has, though. I think losing this, Polt might be able to take it here if he can clean up all these Ravagers.
May be able to. Everything's in red health. It's just by the skin of his teeth. Good corrosive biles gets some medevacs as well, but I feel like a lot of the damage is tilted in favor of Polt, who kind of maintains that 10-ish supply, getting a little ways from his base. And I feel like, and this is not a complaint, I promise you, but this is where mules are pretty cool. Like, he keeps losing harvesters, but he's able to kind of stopgap that supply, well, not supply difference, but harvesting difference.
Yeah, there's definitely no doubt about it. Like, the mules are 100% what keeps Polt in a good spot in this game. He desperately needs them. His army is, you know, largely Marines, 20 Marines, but in low unit numbers, when you have these small troops fighting each other, Marines are, generally speaking, going to be more cost-effective than anything else that you can use. You're going to clean up these lings. This Marine barely surviving against the Queen. He does finally go down, but, I mean, Queen's still in danger.
Yeah, Queen's low. Kills the 4 lings that were there, too, by the way. So now, all of a sudden, Soulkey needs to partition more units over there just to hold on to that base.
Polt putting himself in a tight spot here between his two bases as these roaches try to go in and get some harass done.
Roach is going to pull up here. Whoa, Polt making the... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, he just started to go across the map, but I think that was more of a mental click than anything else. He is going to come back and, of course, throw it off these roaches, which do not have Telling Claws, by the way, and are off creep, so they should all die.
The concussive shell makes it really easy for him to pick these off, too, so a lot of roaches go down. What does Soulkey have? Just 2 Ravagers that are going to try to come up here?
Ravager counterattack.
4 roaches going into the main?
They got sealed off,
It's like, let me deny your mining. Wait, neither of us are mining, so...
I hope you like 200-ish gas, or I shall keep you there forever. But a full medevac, by the way, made its way down to the third base, and that was kind of, I feel like, the game-winning choice from Polt. He's going to drop out, stem into it.
He can't defend this. He's getting some more roaches out. I mean, the only thing that he's had an advantage in, as far as like the upgrades go, is that +2 attack. That command center getting dangerously low.
The thing is, Nathaniel, he can defend it, but it's just over time he can't really. Like 8 Marines in a medevac, that's not 4 lings and a Queen to hold off. That's like a significant chunk of his overall army.
This is everything right here for the most part.
And Polt loses nothing from this, and all of a sudden it frees up space for him. Oh, the medevac's got to be careful.
He's trying to play
But look what's coming down the map. I think it's 3 or 4 medevacs, and that is a load of units. And now all of a sudden Polt has the space.
I think
he's able to utilize his speed.
This is where Polt's gonna take the game, I imagine. Like, there's just everything here is trying to chase this one medevac, and then the rest of it is over here. 4 full medevacs of bio. I guess the best advantage of Legacy of the Void with a low amount of economy you get is just, you know, floating those command centers makes it a lot easier in these low econ situations for Terran to keep chugging along. You never need to make that third base.
And he might actually just straight up win this fight. This is Soulkey's entire army. The drop is also at the natural, but that base was never retaken.
And he's paying a lot of respect to these corrosive biles, but he's still chewing through this army at a fast enough pace. GG, Polt ties this series up 2-2.
I remember each of these games.
I'm glad I got excited
series.
about that one. Okay.
You at the right time.
Polt,
but also,
Polt did what Polt does.
Remember my prediction. I said Soulkey has to survive, and he didn't, so then he lost.
I don't even want to honor that.
That is the kind of intelligence you bring into the studio.
I don't even want to honor that with a response.
But ironically, you did respond to it by saying, right? Isn't that weird?
We're getting into the lobby for the final game, probably on a bit more of a standard map.
Has to be the final game, unless there's a tie.
Ruins of Ceres, unless there's a tie.
Which we've had. We've had some crazy games. And
there's a lot of airspace on this map. If we get into a tie scenario.
I like this as, I hope they're split map, and I hope we see a pretty drawn-out game.
I will honor what you just said. This is actually a great map for ties because Polt has already shown he doesn't want to fight the Ultralisks once he gets there. This is a big, huge, giant, dangerous, scary map, and that makes it very hard to kill your opponent early on if you're Terran, especially if they get cross spawns. Soulkey will, if this game doesn't end with some sort of weird push, probably get to Ultralisks. Polt will probably drop all over the place. You called it, Jeff. This is a phenomenal position for that weird base trade.
I'm really excited for the future moment when we have a tie because the Terran has like 35 Liberators and they kill everything Zerg.
But they can't kill the buildings.
They can't kill the buildings. So they're just like, they're like, what is the cannon called? What is their main gun called?
Oh, it's a Concorde cannon.
So the Concorde cannon. The guy's like, let's bring sweet justice to the buildings. Can't do it. Why? We don't shoot buildings, you idiot.
It's like this gun was specifically designed to extinguish life. It is.
Is it the only thing in the game like that? I mean, there's air to air and ground to ground and air to ground.
As far as like weapons that you can't use, I think so.
Because even the Reaper grenade now still does damage to buildings, right? It's just very bad.
I mean, the only units or whatever that are like, oh, we can't attack buildings or whatever, like.
Well, storm, like spell cast stuff.
Spells.
But actual weapons, is there anything else in the game that does not target a building? I don't think so.
Yeah,
other than, like I said, some things don't shoot air.
Yeah, some things don't shoot air, some things don't shoot ground.
Right.
Oh, well.
Interesting.
It is
There's probably something that absolutely is the same, and we're just not remembering because we're in the middle of a cast. And it's like, God.
Too much pressure. We're loaded in, though. This is it. This is a decider of this best of 5. The winner will move on to play against Beyond. In the bottom right, representing Cooler Master Storm, we have Polt, who did what Polt does best. Brought that game back from a tight spot where he was low on economy, and that float over to the top base while keeping on enough pressure to take it.
It was a cool game.
Panned out well. Yeah, cool game for Central Protocol, to say the least. In the top left, we have Soulkey.
That's what's kind of funny about it, though, is like somewhere out there, David Kim is sitting in his draconian castle on the top of a German mountain with his army of robot monsters, and he's watching that game and he's going, yes, that is precisely what I thought would happen. An interesting, cool game. Whereas, 10,000 nerds cried out at the same time when they saw it was that map, and they're like, no, this is a terrible map. But then a cool game happened, and that's actually something that's been kind of common with StarCraft, all the way back to Brood War, Nathanius. We had island maps, which were never balanced. They were always terrible, but some of the coolest games you ever saw were on island maps.
Yep.
It happened.
There aren't that many, actually. Even in, like, the Blizzard-made maps that you can look at.
What, cool games?
No, I mean...
Come on.
Har. There's not really any island maps. There's only one. I think there's only one island map that you can just play that's Blizzard-made, and it is... I'm pretty sure it's the smallest possible size.
Excellent.
That you can make a map. Like, I don't think it's actually been attempted to make a good island map. Like
which
a
is
big
interesting.
One or something.
Because they're outspoken about wanting unique maps.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get island maps.
The only island map you can play right now actually just has like 5 bases, and it's for 4 players. It's designed like that. So.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
That sounds downright dumb.
Yeah. There you go. Give us an island map. Let's see it. Let's get some
but not now.
Creative.
Give us a mega standard. I want to see late game stuff. I want to see spells flying.
This game right here with cross spawns on Ruins of Ceres, this is like the longest rush distance, I'm pretty sure, out of any of the maps right now.
Biggest map, I think.
Yeah. So, and this map has been around for a good time period. In the beta, kind of somehow sneaked its way in with the Laralac crest. But unlike that map, you've got a pretty easy to secure natural expansion.
Yeah.
There's just one big ramp, but, it's just one ramp, which actually makes it unique from some of the other maps here. But
your natural's fairly secure.
A lot of lanes, though. And the thing is, it takes a lot of depots to block this,
Or none, as it were.
And to be honest, Polt, I'm sure he'd like to build a wall, but then he asks himself who's going to pay for it.
Do you want to build a wall, man?
Well, only
okay,
maybe
bye.
could use
One depot at a time, man.
One depot at a
This
time.
is the blue-collar Terran here. Well, it's drones behind it.
Polt just needs a small loan of 1 million minerals to set up a defense to defeat this.
Is the ramp walled at the natural? Like up at the
Yes. He shouldn't be able to breach Polt's main, of course. Hellions are coming out, but the Zerglings get on top of this bunker. He's trying to hit the Hellions from the back.
Fine.
Oh, he's blocking the SCVs. They're not going to be able to repair, so the Marines go down. Though. The Hellions are going down too, Jeff.
Look at that. He's doing great.
He's killing the Hellions.
He's got 2 more about to pop out, but a lot of damage is done here.
And he's taking his third base and starting his lair, and he has to force the Hellions to rally inside.
And he's droning behind this. That's the madness. Like, if he was still just making pure lings, Polt could lift this up, make 4 or 6, Hellions or whatever, and then just kind of recover. But it's drones behind this, and has been for a while.
And he does lift the command center at last. I'd be careful. Those scary Zerglings.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Lurking. Oh, he finds the SCVs that he hid. That's unfortunate. A couple more are going to go down now.
I do like that they dutifully just return to work, though. They're like, you know what? We do 2 things. We build buildings, and we mine minerals.
I always like mentioning this, but I'm pretty sure in the lore, every SCV has like a PhD in like engineering and stuff, and then they just go out, and some dude's like, all right, little monster is going to eat you alive. We didn't build a wall. Goodbye.
You think they have a PhD? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere in like Wings of Liberty era, so maybe my memory's fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure all the SCVs
the outrageously racist like character in Brood War for SCVs?
Yeah, but those, as far as I'm aware, they may have all also had PhDs.
There's some Zerglings out here.
Man,
I got a doctorate in doctoring.
I don't judge. Well, he has a theoretical degree in physics.
And now we have to see Polt's backup plan, because if you look at the build that was meant to be, it looks like it was going to be, again, that kind of 14, 16-ish Marines and a gaggle of Hellions. But that, of course, is not going to hit any critical time. And even that build itself is a little bit weird on this map. While, yes, the Hellions can dart across and then become Hellions, and medevacs are, again, quite quick as well, you're just actually going to be slowed down by the expanse of the map anyways. It's a little bit critical of that choice. I mean, he was like, that's what worked in Game 1. Let's just do it again, Brett. But it's not going to hit a meaningful timing here.
I mean, I'm just really worried for Polt because he basically had his legs broken here at the start of this game. He's got 2 command centers, no upgrades really coming in except for stim, but he's at half his opponent's supply and workers, and his army is not an army that can really do game-ending damage. Like, maybe, he turns the Hellions into Hellbats, he pushes what Marines he has, these 2 medevacs. Maybe Polt makes more Polt magic happen right now,
here it is.
But if he doesn't do the same amount of damage that he did in, like, Dusk Towers...
No, I mean,
and
it's even scouted, Nathaniel. It's like part of the reason it worked so well last time is because he jumped on the 5 initial Banelings that are meant to defend this, but right now, this Overseer is peeping Tom and everything. He knows what's coming, and he's already making those 5 Banelings, and they're going to be made and finished before this attack hits.
Yep, and it's a total of 9 Banelings on the way, so he's going to follow it up with even more.
They might have speed, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah.
It's not even 9 Banelings.
It's a vastly superior position to the last one. And these medevacs even taking some heat from the Queens. He knows where he's positioning. So he's going to try, what to do? Run the Hellions by? So he's like, no,
do something.
I got Zerglings, man. Back
3
it up.
fake mutas coming out, too.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Anything but the fake mutas in control.
The fake mutas that do more damage than most people's 12 mutas. Like, holy crap,
that's because 12 mutas scares you enough to do something about it.
That's true.
You're like, oh, 3 mutas, I'm not worried about this.
He just never took them serious the whole time. He's like, what are they going to do? Everything. He is upgrading +1 range.
Banelings with speed. Oh, okay. Well,
that'll happen to Polt, by the way. He's one of the Terrans that is not actually omniscient. He's off doing other things.
He's human. He's human sometimes. That's the weird thing.
I think it's because he goes to school. If he wasn't going to school, you would have always seen that.
Yeah. Clearly, a man that is in a tough spot right now. Yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm trying to look for like positives here. But Soulkey's already got his 1/1. Polt doesn't have his +1 yet. Polt,
it's bad.
Waiting on combat shields. No 3rd command center.
And he's doing this
isn't Central Protocol, you know?
He's doing that thing again where he's like front loading all the production, and then we'll add the 3rd CC. But especially on this map where applying that pressure is really, really difficult. I feel like this is the Polt program failing a little bit. This is like Polt HOTS applied to Legacy of the Void, and it's just not working.
I mean, Soulkey played the map really well with the Speedling opener. Like, Polt just got completely blindsided by that run-by, and it did probably a lot more damage than it should have. Well, I mean, clearly
this is
if you're
Polt. Liberators absolutely shut down mutas, right?
It depends on many. He has two mutas. 2 Liberators. You can spread against those. Okay. They'll help in a straight-up fight, but I think if Polt were to be attacked right now, he'd probably rather put them in anti-ground mode just to help chew apart anything that moves in. Now, I'd say when you get to like 4 Liberators, you can start to do something. But like, Liberators hit critical mass versus like any number of mutas once you have like 6. Because the mutas will shoot their volley out while the Liberators shoot. And if you have like 6 Liberators, you're actually just going to one-shot the whole cloud of mutas, even if you lose all your Liberators too.
By the way,
that's a lot more expensive for the Zerg player.
No 3rd CC. And this Zergling that is off screen right now, just spotting that, is the end of the game. I feel like
he knows he doesn't need to do anything.
Well, now he just makes stuff.
Yeah, just build stuff units non-stop. Don't be greedy. He has a hive going to finish too as well.
If a single drone comes out till the end of this game, basically, I'll be very shocked. Without a 3rd CC at this time,
just Ling Bane. Just Ling Bane it. He's going to move in. Some Widow Mines are being brought in as well, but not getting the money hits that they need. Polt needs to win the game with this push. He chews apart the first wave of units here from Soulkey. He has everything, all his ships in this basket.
And Soulkey's doing such a great job, like tiers of Banelings. He doesn't need to win a single fight, he just needs to live. And here come the Banelings dealing out the damage. The force has been thinned out too much. Yeah, no 3rd behind this. Liberators are a non-factor, by the way. Polt's just having kind of a tough time controlling this.
Yeah, he's having a really rough time here. And I mean, the Liberators are going to take some shots against these mutas, but the Ling Bane remains unanswered as he surrounds the rest of Polt's army and will completely clear it up. Soulkey looking to take his 3rd win here and move on here at the Intel Extreme Masters. Polt, he's got nothing left.
No, the parade's being shoved back again. No CC. There it is. Polt GG's 3-2 in favor of Soulkey. A fantastic series. But I do, again, maybe it's because we have a long broadcast, so I have time to not shoot up my emotional, like, just go all the way to the top. But I want to be critical of Polt a little bit. Choosing to do it, I mean, again, he was gimped a little bit at the early stage. Yeah. But I feel like with that ramp and okay, Soulkey hasn't done a Speedling all-in or real timing attack, I feel like, in this entire series. And for the most part, he's been, like, defensive Speedling, will probe a little bit, but for the most part is either anticipating Reapers or is just trying to defend. But I feel like for it to go to Game 5 and for Polt to do kind of a soft opening that I feel like, without being harassed, still wanted to walk across the map and be Marines and Hellions was kind of a weird choice.
I think a lot of it comes down to just maybe how Polt likes to play this matchup. A lot of Korean Terrans make the focus of their games against Zerg to be kill them before they get Ultralisk. Yes. So Polt, it worked really well in the first game. You had a much shorter rush distance. Obviously, you only have that very small ramp into your main and natural, so Ling run by is never going to work.
I agree with you. I think your point that it's because of the matchup, I 100% agree. But I feel like the map in these positions,
the map in those positions
shatters that dream.
Played really big into it. So we can see as the bracket evolves here, we're halfway done with tonight's matches. We've got Beyond facing off Soulkey. You guys will be able to see that tomorrow. Brought to you by Polt, Claris, and ton of wonderful commentators over in Taipei right now. And coming up next, we have 2 more best of 5s to bring you. SOS will face off against MC, and then Snoot playing against Hero.
A couple of great series. Yeah. Again, I'm really excited for this PvP matchup. A lot of people have been bemoaning a little bit that it ends up a lot of times Stalker and Disruptor, but I actually think that's some of the most exciting micro in the game, and everything that leads up to that is really cool as well. Yeah. Photon Overcharge being nerfed heading into this is going to be interesting as well.
I'm curious to see how that affects PvP, but as a non-Terran, as a non-Protoss player, I think watching Stalker Disruptor is a bit more fun than 7 or 8 Colossi just kind of attacking into each other. Whoever drops Zealots on the other one wins. Well, we're going to go into that match next, ladies and gentlemen, here at Intel Extreme Masters Taipei Day 1. We'll be right back after this commercial break.